We've entered the Meseta.
Woohoo! Woohoo! 9 days of nothingness. I can't wait.
After having a rest day in Burgos, I was more than ready to set off again on the Camino. Today I would be entering the Meseta, a vast stretch of flat and exposed landscape.
The Camino is divided into 3 separate stages: body, mind and soul or spirit. And we have finished the body section, the physical side, and we are now moving into the Meseta, which is supposed to be more of a mental challenge. So I wonder how we will be challenged mentally. Stay tuned to find out.
We're all nervous.
I'm walking with Debbie this morning. All the Pellegrinos behind me. It's a big responsibility, everyone's following us. We need to make sure we're going in the right direction.
The route out of Burgos was like following a sculpture trail.
Scallop shell on him.
As we had spent a rest day in Burgos, we were regularly meeting new pilgrims that we hadn't met before, which was really nice. Although I had enjoyed a day off in the city, I was more than ready to get back on the trail.
Just been into this little church and we've been blessed by a nun who gave us a necklace, her blessing and a hug. It was really cool.
After having a rest break in the village of Hornillos del Camino, a local invited us into their home to see their portrait photo collection of pilgrims, which covered the walls of their living room. Setting off again, we entered wide open landscapes exposed to the sun and wind. Trees were rare, but when they did appear, the shade underneath was usually occupied by a pilgrim. We went past the turnoff for Sansol, a small Donativo albergue, and carried on towards Hontanes, where we had booked for the night.
We've booked to go to San Birgitta albergue, and I think they have a spa there, which you pay extra for. But if it's true and if it's open, that would be a dream. I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but there is a little bit of hope there. Hontanes. Oh, so excited. Laundry room in the water. Boots stored down there. This has got to be one of the best albergues on the Camino. Bar selling beer, watermelon, and up here there's more laundry facilities, but also where we peg out. Right now, I'm going to finish my beer and try out the spa, because there is a spa here. If you walk the Camino, you have to stay here. It's amazing. So if you were wondering if there was a swimming pool or spa facilities in any albergue on the Camino Frances, I can tell you there is. Well, there's no salad, but the water comes out really, really cold and then it goes really, really, really hot. Woo! And this is a special foot massager.
I haven't been there yet. I'm just trying right now.
Thighs. Oh yeah.
Thighs.
And your butt.
Yeah, your butt.
All the muscles that we use every day.
You don't need a massage, it does it all for you.
It does.
And to top it all off, in this albergue they served a communal paella at the end of the evening.
Help yourself, attack it.
Good morning. It is about 7:20. I've set off really late. I know it sounds early, but it's not early for setting off on the Meseta. I could tell how many people had gone and how many were left by the number of pairs of shoes left on the rack. When I grabbed mine, there was only like 5 left. It's weird. I'm wanting my own space, but I'm also wanting the company of others. I couldn't get to sleep for ages last night, which was really unhelpful for this morning because I couldn't wake up. Consequently, I'm now behind my friends, which is fine, but it's also not fine. I'm just feeling a little bit like, oh, but this is what I wanted on the Camino, and I'm in the mental bit now, so maybe this is mind games I'm having with myself. I wanted space and time alone. I also crave the company of others. It's just a strange mix. I've only got 245 miles to go to Santiago, or 457 kilometers. That means I'm halfway, nearly. I've loved the way when I'm walking with people, they're sort of often jumping for the spiritual opportunities as well, like the church being open and the nun blessing people. Everyone was lined up. They wanted to be blessed by the nun. They wanted to feel something. They wanted to experience something. We're here for more than a walk. And yeah, I love doing that in community. I love having those experiences when it's more than you that has it, but I think there's also a time to reflect on your own. After my little wobble a minute ago, I'm feeling really good now. The sun's rising behind me. It's incredible. I've just said hi to a couple of pilgrims that have passed me. A guy from Switzerland and someone else, I didn't find out his name or where he was from. Just together admiring the beauty of this place and the sunrise as well. I'm enjoying being here alone now, and I'm enjoying the casual interactions I have with other pilgrims. No agenda. It's actually freedom. Sometimes we don't notice when we have a gift right in front of us. We don't see it as a gift. I think what we see is our fears and anxiety. If we think to ourselves, what is this? What do I have in my hands right now? I could be at work, but right now I have this gift of walking the Camino in this beautiful landscape, and I have time to think, to rest my mind, rest my brain, contemplate on things, and that to me, I'm now realising, is an incredible gift. My decisions don't need to be motivated or driven by fear or worry. Up ahead are the ruins of San Anton Monastery, which is also an albergue. A very basic one. Every now and again, it's really good to look back on the Camino and see where you've come from. I've got a hill ahead of me there, The Meseta is not flat. Just going up this hill, someone told me was called Heart Attack Hill. I think it would be really tough doing this in the heat of the afternoon. It's late morning, so it is warming up. I do feel hot, but it's going to get much warmer later and I wouldn't like to be tackling it then. I'm definitely going to have a little rest break here. Hi! I'm doing a sock change and I've also just done a dressing change on my foot to try and stop them from getting worse. I've just done a running foot repair at the top of that hill. I've realised that when you're hiking day after day after day, feet become incredibly important and a topic of conversation, and it's completely socially acceptable to stick your foot on a chair in a cafe and start peeling off plasters and popping blisters. Something that would normally be pretty gross. Well, it is pretty gross, but it's just totally accepted here at this stage in the Camino. The views from up here are amazing. The trail down there is the Camino. I can see pilgrims walking all the way along. A little oasis in the Meseta. A food truck and some shade. And lots of peregrinos resting. Entering the province of Palencia. Ahead I can see, right in the distance, a small town or village, which is where I'm staying tonight. It's now just over a kilometre till that town that I kept seeing, and it looked close, but it isn't. I feel like so hot, dry, and a little bit delirious. I definitely need to get hydrated, electrolytes, and rested. Nearly there. At last, Boadilla del Camino, the town I'm heading for. And the albergue, there's a sign for it. Oh, best pancakes on the Camino. Great, juntos. This is Boadilla del Camino. That's the hotel. I'm not staying there. There's an albergue behind it. I'm not staying there either. Just been to visit my friend in the hotel there. She's staying there tonight. I'm staying up the street in the albergue that's run by a Dutch couple. The next morning I set off after a pancake breakfast. Good morning. Sunrise on the Meseta. After leaving Boadilla del Camino this morning, the path initially follows alongside a canal, which is really nice. It's nice to be near water in the Meseta. There are trees growing alongside the canal as well, and birds making lots of noise. So tiny but so noisy. Little sparrows. Leaving Poblacion de Campos, there was a possible alternate shorter route along a road. I'm following the Camino path because I didn't want to walk along the road. It's a little bit tough on the feet because it's kind of gravel and there's no shade. I do have my sun umbrella. My heels are really hurting today. I've got blisters on both heels I think they develop when I kind of do a longer day. The first time with my family, when I did a 29-kilometre day, is when I got my first blister. And that was healing up, but then I sort of got another blister on top of it. And I've got another one in exactly the same place on the other foot now. And that one developed the day that I walked the 31.5 kilometres. So it seems to be the days where I push it that little bit further that my body responds in a negative way. That sign cannot be right. I thought we had 400 kilometres to go. I know that's a road sign, but anyway, about 6 kilometres to go today to Camino de las Condes. I've just spoken to another pilgrim who's staying in the albergue where the singing nuns are, but sadly she's just found out they're not there tonight. So that's helped me make a decision on where to stay. I've been offered a spare bed in a room with another pilgrim who's booked into a hostel, like a guest house, so I'm going to take that bed option tonight.
At Carrion, I looked into the church attached to the Santa Clara convent, and the nuns from this closed order were singing their vespers from behind a grill at the back of the church. I then checked into the room, caught up with some friends and looked around the town and the church before I met up with some friends that I had first met at Border Hostel back on the first night for dinner.
Good morning. I'm leaving Camino de las Condes extremely late today. It's after 9. When I woke up this morning, I had bites on my legs. I thought they were mosquito bites, and they may well be. However, I then inspected my bed and I found a little bug in there, which was dead. I took a picture of it, lots of pictures of it, and then I've been Googling, and it does look very suspiciously like a bed bug. I was in denial. I came out of my room. The person from where I was staying was actually in the hallway, and I just said goodbye. I didn't say anything. And then I went to a cafe, and actually another pilgrim was there waiting for the post office to open, someone that I met on day 1. And I told her, and she's like, you need to spray your stuff. You've got, you know, the stuff you have to do. And I know all this in my head, but in the moment I was having a bit of a, I was in denial, as I just said. I had breakfast and then I pulled myself together. I decided to go back to where I stayed last night. I'm not going to name where it was. The people were absolutely lovely, and they obviously do their best to keep these things at bay. The special covers on the mattresses, all of the things that they can do. And I searched the room and could not find any evidence for any other ones. And, you know, I could have brought it with me. I just don't know. Anyway, he didn't deny that the photo was potentially a bed bug, but he had a can of spray with him, and then he sprayed my pack for me, and then I asked him also to spray my shoes, because you can even carry them in your shoes. So I think I've done what I can do. I need to wash stuff on a hot wash. I'm just actually figuring it out right now what to do, but my immediate issue right now is I have a 17-kilometre walk as I leave this town to the next place of civilization. And there are absolutely no facilities in between here and the next place. Apparently there could potentially be a food truck, but that's not guaranteed.
The bug in the bed had really thrown me. It was one of my Camino fears, and here I was faced with it. But on the plus side, the food truck was very much in existence, and I enjoyed chocolate cake, café con leche and freshly squeezed orange juice.
This is how I imagine the Meseta. My intention is to stop at the next town, have another little break, and then I've got 5 more kilometres, I think, after that. made these arrows. We are at last arriving in Ledigos. Albergue La Marina, that's where we're staying. An update on, is it a bed bug or is it not a bed bug? I am being cautious and I'm going to put all of my laundry except what I'm wearing in the washing machine.
I did what I could do in the circumstances and settled down to enjoy a summer's evening with friends.
I set off about 15-20 minutes ago from Ledigos. The people that are walking now have been treated to the most incredible lightning storm ahead of us. It's far enough away that we're not in the storm, but there are just flashes of lightning that kind of happen all over the sky, and hopefully I've managed to capture some of it. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Amazing.
Nature continued to put on an amazing display. As soon as the lightning storm ended, there was another beautiful Meseta sunrise and hundreds of more excited loud birds making a racket from the few trees that lined the way.
After an hour and a half of walking this morning, this little bar has come at the perfect time. These are little bodegas built into the hillside. They're not hobbit houses. They were used for food storage and winemaking. We're at the formal halfway point here. I know we have crossed the halfway point, but this is the formal halfway point, and
it feels quite an achievement, doesn't it?
It's an achievement, Harry.
Street art is common in towns along the Camino, but this was the first time I had seen one in the process of being painted. You may recognise some of the characters from the Martin Sheen movie, The Way. I had reached Sahún halfway through the Camino Frances. Earlier that day, I had made a booking at a monastery which is run and hosted by a group of Marist priests. After collecting my halfway certificate, doing my laundry outside, we had a communal sharing time followed by an optional mass in the church with a pilgrim blessing and then a shared dinner back at the monastery. It was a very special place to stay.
Leaving the monastery very late this morning, just before 8. I want to do at least 30 kilometers today. Yesterday was really short and I'm really glad it was because I had just such a lovely time, restful time, contemplative time in the monastery. They're a religious order there, Marist priests, and there was also a sister there as well. Yeah, so it was really interesting talking to them and just finding out about their way of life a little bit more. But they were just incredibly down-to-earth normal people, and they wore normal clothes, and they were there for the pilgrims. They sit and listen to people every single day. They welcome pilgrims every single day, and yeah, they just do that on repeat over and over, and it really blesses us.
So far today, I'd mainly walked on my own and my confidence was growing.
I've never had to get up and walk day after day after day. Now I know it's possible. I know my body can adapt and I can do it. And I often like now walking on my own. That was something I was worried about at the beginning or before I came. How would I manage with the hours of solitude, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's not a problem. Look who I found. I find him every day actually. I saw him last night. Harry! Famous Harry from Scotland.
I found her underwear on the clothesline last night.
In a monastery.
In a monastery.
I know, it felt a bit like awkward hanging up my underwear in a monastery, but I had to dry it somehow.
I walked the rest of the way to Reliegos with Harry before checking out the local sites, including the bodegas and Bar Elvis. I also had a communal dinner with my fellow pilgrims in the albergue.
Today the Camino is going to follow roads mainly, and I've been warned there's a long industrial stretch going into Leon. But that's okay, it's all part of the Camino. Some bits are beautiful, some bits less so, and life's like that too. About 13 kilometers outside of Leon, the scenery has changed again. On the left we've got maize growing. The crop's definitely different now, there's no more sunflowers. This is a busier road that I'm walking alongside today.
At Puente de Villarente, the Camino path did deviate off the main road as the bridge is not safe for pedestrians. It was just after this town that I ran into another difficulty.
Okay, keeping it real, I'm at a pretty low point right now. I think I've developed tendinitis in my, well, the top of my foot. I've just googled it. Anterior tibialis tendinitis is, I'm pretty sure, what I've got. The treatment for it is rest ice compression elevation. I've still got 11 kilometers to walk. It's flat, so that's the good news. Just spoke to home and got, you know, some encouragement and take it easy and be careful and all of that. But I have reached out to a couple of people, and you know, it's been suggested take a taxi. I don't want to take a taxi. It's just pretty tough right now, and every step hurts. I've just called in at a pharmacy and I've bought some gel to put on it. So I've rubbed that in, and at first I thought it was helping. After about 20 minutes it started to feel marginally better, but the problem is that I'm just using it all the time. I probably need to have a day off in Leon to rest it. I've got some kinesiology tape. I will figure out how to do that. I'm really struggling right now. Leon feels a really long way away. Although I've booked a bed, I'm just thinking the thought of being in a top bunk is not appealing to me right now when I eventually get there. I've just sent them a message to ask if it's possible to have a lower bunk. I don't know if it is or not. I knew aspects of the Camino would be difficult. I'm just having probably the lowest moment right now, actually.
I soon reached a point where I had to stop.
I was crying and sitting on a bench in the rain, and two lovely pilgrims that I've met previously. I couldn't remember their names. Rhonda and Ria, I asked them again. They were just really encouraging, and they said, why don't you put your tape on that you've got? You know, it's going to help. So I've just done that now. The pain is actually here, and it's as I flex my foot like that, it's really sore, and point it as well. I'm getting really horrible pain just where that tendon is. So I was crying on a bench in the rain. Definitely a low point, but you know, even in the low points there's just some really beautiful things, like really lovely encouraging people. I'm gonna just lace my shoe up and get on. I've still got 11 kilometers. ladies that walked on by were actually a real encouragement to me. They were my Camino angels, just when I needed them.
Despite the pain I was in, I was determined to walk to Leon, and I did make it. After I checked into my hostel and treated my leg with ice, I ventured outside and bumped into some French pilgrims that I knew, and they invited me out to dinner with them, which was really nice.
It's crazy fun. Who want to taste?
But the reality was, I was facing the question, was this the end of my Camino?